When you first started thinking about opening your business, did you take the time to daydream about what your days would be like? What were they full of? Were you doing really great work with great clients? Did you have a certain ease and flow in the day? And were you able to do things like spend time with your family or maybe knock off early on a Friday afternoon? I think we all have those dreams, which leads us to the point of how did we get to our reality? Because the truth is, at a certain point in your journey as a business owner, you're going to feel like you are running from hither to thither. You are constantly bouncing from one thing to the next. You barely have time to do the work that you want to do. And then when you do it, you don't even feel like you're doing it well. That's a really frustrating place to be. And when you're there and you've just got such a high work ethic that you want to be serving your client to a better level, it can be really stressful and upsetting if you feel like you're missing the bar. Well, howdy everyone. My name is Leslie Hassler with Your Biz Rules. And today we're talking about systems and processes and how implementing those systems and processes in your business can actually give you more freedom. And the truth of it is that you can have more freedom. And when you do have things like systems and processes, you get more predictable profits as well. So I want to talk to you a little bit about maybe a different way to think about systems and processes. We talk about them all the time. I've implemented them in nearly every one of our clients to fix certain issues that we have with time and workload and the ability for work to get completed and to flow. And so systems and processes, I think, can feel really daunting. I also feel that people want to make it perfect. Systems and processes don't need to be perfect or pretty. They need to be reproducible, they need to be simple, and they need to be executable. Like they just need to be able to get done. And so oftentimes when we think about systems and processes, the truthism that I like to share is that what is simple gets done. So if a process is overly complicated, it's too pretty, if you will, it won't get used. And that is counterproductive to what you're trying to have done. But I know that there's lots of things that we can think and talk about with systems and processes, but I have a few considerations that I want you to give today so that you can start crafting more freedom in your business. The first one is let the structure set you free. When you're a service-based business, it can be incredibly easy to fall prey to the myth that every client is different. Every time you do the work, it's completely different. You do customized solutions. So there's no way that you could find a system or a process to streamline. And I have found this to be untrue more often than it is true. And what we need to see is that even when you're a service-based business, if you are always reinventing the wheel, if you never attempt to put some structure to what it is that you do, you're oftentimes redoing work. You're not gaining any efficiencies to what you're doing. You're not gaining any economies of scales to what you're doing. You're oftentimes forgetting things along the way. Maybe something that worked really good with a client a year ago, but because you're reinventing the wheel, you kind of let that slide because it was such a small little detail. And now it's a problem because you didn't do this one little detail. So really that whole process of reinventing the wheel hurts more than helps in when it comes to thinking about systems and processes. When you think about it, when you actually can boil down what it is that you do to its simplest forms, you give enough ability to streamline the process, you'll actually reduce the amount of time that it might take to get something done. So I want to give you an example here, a personal example. So my first business, when we did interior design and construction, construction is one of those things that is notorious for getting off schedule, for ballooning out of shape. And so when things balloon, when a project would go longer, the profitability in that project would decrease with every day, every week that the project extended. So we had to find a way to hold a container, to reliably be able to set a deadline and price against that deadline. And one of the things that we found is that every project had the same steps. Now, what we created with each step was very individual to a client. So that's where the customization came in. But the steps were always the same. And as we went through and created things like a checklist or a process or a follow-up mechanism, we got tighter and tighter and tighter. And so for instance, a kitchen design, which may have taken us 8 or 10 weeks to complete before, we were able to compress into 6 weeks. And not only were we able to compress that, we then could start backing them up. So we could start a new project each and every week because we took the time to keep that system. And as part of that system, we said, okay, how many can we gather together? What is our capacity? How can we design the process to give us the time and the wait time that sometimes was out of our control and yet allow for another project to begin? Doing that would take us from maybe just being able to handle 2 or 3 projects over a 2-month period to being able to handle easily 8 projects in a 2-month period, and to do it very well because we streamlined all the process. We gave everyone the steps to follow along the way, and we were incredibly efficient at doing it, which means we could also be incredibly profitable at doing it. That gave us a lot more freedom because we could, while we can allow for little variances, we knew what the weeks were going to look like. So we could make different changes, right? We can make adjustments along the way. The second concept that I want you to think of with systems and processes is this concept of doing it once, but getting paid forever. So there are some things that as the business owner, I think you should do, but not do forever. I want you to have an understanding of what the task is, what success looks like, and what needs to happen at this step in order for something else to happen. But once you've gone through that, then you really can look at 2 things. You can look at automation and delegation. So with delegation, what the benefit we get is we get opportunity cost, right? We get to pay for some of our time freedom. We allow other people to do their genius work, have great impact into our business, and yet give us the freedom to do the things that we love to do, our genius work, and be able to take the time that we need. And so a lot of people bridle against delegation, but truly it is one of those things that can set you free. And it is definitely one of those things that you've got to do if you want to scale your business. The automation aspect is really, to me, about efficiency, productivity, and effectiveness, if you will. There are lots of little menial tasks that can fall by the wayside, but yet are very important to the process. And so anytime we're able to trigger workflows automatically or trigger information flowing from one person to the next automatically, we're taking out the opportunity for things to slow down, right? And so when we do that, things just keep flowing. And it is amazing how much better things can be when communication happens automatically and it's not left to you finding 5 minutes to be able to do something. Our third concept is achieve more to move faster. When we've streamlined through systems and processes, we actually minimize our distractions. I think that the distractions are one of our biggest demons in business, both as an owner, as an employee, to getting things done. And truly, if people just were able to get things done quicker, that fixes a lot of other issues. Like even the amount of problems you have reduces. That was one of those things we found out in my first business with the construction part of it. When we would be in a remodel project, if we held tight the timeline, we had less problems. It was a really interesting thing. We still did the same quality of work, which was good quality work, but because we were compressed, we didn't allow problems to create themselves in the process and stretch that out. So minimize those distractions can actually help you be more focused. And when you're focused, you get results, right? Because like I said, the demon is the distraction. So we want to be able to do that. But I also think that you improve morale, because I have yet to meet a business owner, anyone that works for small business, who doesn't enjoy getting things done, who doesn't like to be able to check things off on the list and achieve an impact more in a business. So those are just some things to think about when you're thinking about systems and processes, and how you can implement these systems and processes into your business so that you can actually have more freedom. And we talked about the fact that letting structure gives you, actually allowing it into your business sets you free, that you look for those items you can do once and get paid for forever. And that when you do this, when you minimize your distractions, you're actually able to achieve more in less time, which gives you the freedom to be able to take a little break. So that's it for today, guys. I hope you're doing well. And until next week, I'll be talking with you soon.